that you only look to Washington, where this week they are trying to dictate that private companies who employ over 100 people must order vaccinations or terminate their employees who refuse. I want to paint a different picture. If sworn officers and city employees that choose liberty over servitude either resign or are terminated, then who is left? Once more restrictive measures come down from an overreaching government, the enforcement is much easier. Last paragraph. I'm sure other speakers today will comment on the lack of effectiveness of these medications and possible.
We'll get a few more people in here, and then I'm going to let you know what's up. Crispy, what's going on?
Liberties that are being violated. I'm shocked to hear politicians say they don't care what the Constitution say. They will do whatever needs to be done.
People v. State,
understand that legal precedents may be set in the coming days that shapes the future of this great nation. I, for one, will always remember my oath, and Mayor Castor will have to look elsewhere for her brown shirts.
Tommy!
Sincerely.
Dude, you saw that, Tommy? They did. They shut it down for integrity.
Sincerely,
you guys got to see that.
A patriot in blue.
My live stream was just shut down. She saw it. It was just shut down for integrity.
Okay, up next, the speaker we're going to have is Dr. Jim Davison. He is a local doctor. I'm going to let him talk about his
that's right, Tommy. 11,000 people were watching it, and they shut it down.
And he has a very interesting perspective on all of this.
Thanks for having me here today. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
All right, you guys got to check this out.
Jim Davison.
I've had a lot of this already. I was on TikTok, live streaming this on TikTok.
For the last 28 years, most of it as an ER physician.
I'm here down here with John Felix. This is a whole protest about what Mayor Castor is instituting against all the city employees down here. She's mandating a jab for all the employees.
Currently, for the last 2 years, I've been doing urgent care medicine.
News Now Ninja, what's up?
And basically, for the last 18 months, I have been doing COVID testing. And the bottom line is that
HPR, what's going on?
COVID is real. All right. I mean, no matter what you think about a vaccine or anything,
camera, what's up?
COVID is real. And I've had doctors I've worked with who have died. Many of the people I've worked with have gotten COVID and they survived.
Same to you, Ninja.
This past November, I got COVID. I'm 67 years old. I have pre-hypertension. And my BMI is none of your business.
You guys got to see her sign over there. I talked to her earlier on TikTok.
So I wanted you to know that.
Tyranny affects
bottom line
all is what she has right there. I love that sign of hers. I love it.
It's a shame, since the start of this epidemic, is that no one came to the individual people and told them, you have to have a plan. They will tell you that you have to have a plan for hurricane. You need to have a plan in case your house catches on fire. You need a plan for your retirement.
YouTube hasn't taken it down.
The greatest public health epidemic in the last 100 years. No one came and said, you got to have a plan. I've got news for you. Going home, social distancing, and an N9 mask is not a plan.
Kenny, what's up?
Okay? It just isn't. Now, for the past 10 months, there have been both vaccines and a thing called the monoclonal antibodies. I'm here to tell you that every person here needs to go home today and find out one thing. Are you or are you not high risk for severe complications from COVID? Because that's it. If you are high risk, and it's very easy to find out if you are, then you have a come to Jesus meeting to see if you want to get the vaccine. The vaccine is still the best. I know Trish had problems. I'm not telling you not to get it, Medically, I would advise you, if you are high risk, to get it. Because the risk from COVID is greater than my familiarity with the risk from the vaccine. The other thing you need to do is, if you don't want to get the vaccine and you are high risk, then you better well know where to get the monoclonal antibody. That is it. If you don't want the vaccine, then you better know where to get the antibody. And every person in the world, 50% of the people in this county are high risk. Half of the people in this county are high risk for complications. So what I want you to do today, and tonight when you go home, how many people know they're high risk or low risk? That's no less than half, okay? You gotta know. Because the virus doesn't care if you don't know. And it has nothing to do with politics, it has nothing to do with it. The virus doesn't give a damn whether you're Republican, Democrat, conservative, or liberal. Doesn't care. It's your God-given right to decide whether you're going to get that vaccine or not. That's it. Bottom line is that you have to make that decision based on the facts. And if you don't know whether you're high risk or not, you cannot make that decision based on the facts. Period. So I want everybody to go home today, find out if you're high risk, find out if your family members are high risk, take a look at the vaccine. If you don't want the vaccine, then talk with your doctor and say, look, if I am positive, I need to get the monoclonal antibody. So do yourselves a favor, have a come to Jesus meeting with your doctor, and then do what's good for you and your family, whether or not that's taking the vaccine or not. I think I'm being pushed off here.
Medical choice!
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Okay, guys, so I have a friend of mine, so he came to our meeting at Community Patriots a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he came to the Conservative Grounds coffee shop to talk to us about medical freedom and about medicine. He's very well qualified to have that conversation with you guys, and so I'd like to introduce you to a ex-pilot and a retired doctor, Kevin Stillwagon.
Lion One, how you doing?
Thank you very much. Yesterday, the mumbling idiot in the White House thought he declared a war against a virus. He actually declared a war against our freedoms. He will lose. Let's talk about the virus first. And you're not going to hear this anywhere else. You're not going to see it on mainstream news. The virus is not a living thing.
There is no mainstream news here at all.
It has no intelligence. It has
There's not one other camera here putting this out except for mine and his.
Reproduce on its own. It has no metabolism. It is not alive.
No cops here. No.
You cannot declare a war,
of course not,
against a virus. It's not a living thing. Viruses actually come from within nature. They come from bacteria, they come from plants, they come from animals, and they come from us. Viruses are packages of genetic information inside of a protein shell. And we are constantly communicating with viruses all the time. Do you have any idea how many viruses are in the breathable air on this planet? 10 to the 31. That is more than there are stars in the known universe. Inside of your body right now are 380 trillion viruses. And without them, you would not be able to survive. Every day, you breathe in and breathe out 100 million viruses, whether you wear a mask or not. And Fauci wants you to be afraid of one. This is absolutely crazy. We communicate with viruses all the time. The genetic information inside of those viruses is necessary for us as human beings to adapt to our ever-changing environment. Most of this has been done by our own volition.
Oh, there he is.
Pollution
and
changes that we've done to our environment. Luckily, the creator of the universe is smart enough to be able to have our bodies communicate with one another and figure a way out of the mess. It does that with viruses. Here's the problem, though. When man, in all of his supposed intelligence, like Fauci, who claims that he is science itself, when man decides to try to interrupt this problem or this process of viruses communicating with
That
us,
is
when
correct,
man
Crispy.
tries to stop that, very bad things happen. The
Hey,
virus
Everybody give Rights Crispy a big
will
happy birthday.
mutate, but it's not the virus that does the mutating. The virus has no intelligence. The mutation is done by the intelligence within your body. That's where the mutation happens. The mutation is happening inside of your cell's cytoplasm, in ribosomes, and it's all directed by enzymes called apobec enzymes. This is all directed by intelligence, and it's happening on purpose. So when you try to block this necessary transmission, these viral mutations will occur.
You're welcome,
That's what we're
HBR.
seeing right now, people.
You guys that haven't already,
That's
pound
why
that like
people
and
that
hit that
got
share
this
for me. Get
toxic
this out.
jab,
They're trying to
that think
silence
they're
this stuff.
protected, are not protected. When they got the toxic jab, the cells in their body were trained to look for one protein, the spike protein that's on the surface of the virus. That's not normal. When you come in contact with a virus naturally, your body recognizes all of the proteins on that virus. The one we're dealing with right now, called the SARS-CoV-2 virus, has 28 proteins. So when you come in contact with this virus, your cells in your body that are working in your immune system, specifically they're called T cells and B cells, they will develop a memory to all of these proteins, all of them, so that the next time you come in contact with a virus that even looks similar to it, your body will be able to deal with
Whoa.
it instantly and keep that virus out. The key, people, is to protect yourself from infection.
The gimbal just went nuts
The
on
only
me, guys.
protection
Sorry.
from infection comes from the innate immune system, the first line of defense. It has to do with T cells, natural killer cells, and dendritic cells. All three of these cells are critical to having your body keep the virus out, keep you from getting infected. What does Fauci want you to do? He wants you to inject something directly into your body, bypassing the innate immune system and creating something called antibodies.
The gimbal's
The
acting crazy, you
antibodies
guys.
are circulating in your blood and in your lymphatic system. They are inside
Oh, look, they
your
got
body.
the bird over us.
The only way
There's
those
the bird.
antibodies will ever do anything for you is after you have become infected. There is no protection there, people.
Oh, my
None.
gimbal is going
There is
crazy
no
here, you guys.
protection against infection from this toxic jab. Does everybody get that? The protection comes from the innate immune system, which will keep the viruses out and does not even involve the production of antibodies. We are at the point now where this toxic jab is trying to be mandated. Three really, really bad things are going to happen to America if we do this. Number one, we are going to set our country back decades by reinstating racism.
All right, hang on, you guys. I got to get it out of this
have
gimbal.
anything to do with skin color. It's going to be based on whether or not you did a procedure, a toxic jab, that gives you no protection in the first place.
So the gimbal here doesn't like
So
the
we're
heat
going to
for some
reinstate
reason.
racism. The second bad thing that's going to happen is we are going to force very qualified and experienced people out of the workplace because they absolutely will not comply. The third thing that's going to happen, and this is becoming very evident already, we are going to destroy any chance of herd immunity to get this country back to health. Because people that are going to be chasing this toxic jab are going to be continuously reducing the ability of their innate immune system to keep not just this virus out, but all viruses out. It's going to get ugly. You think it's bad now? Wait until this flu season. We're going to see how many people who got this toxic jab get sick. And it's going to be a lot. And we're seeing that already. So I'd like to give you some action steps right now. And look, I don't care if you got the jab or not, or even if you think it's a good idea, you have to see that what's happening right now is a direct infringement upon your God-given rights as a human being. And that has to stop. And we have to push back, and we have to push back hard. The first thing you can do, and this has already been talked about, is get a religious exemption, which is a requirement by law. My recommendation is to not list a specific religion. Because somebody might say, well, the Pope said it's okay to get the jab. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do not list your religion. Simply state that you hold these beliefs very strongly with the strength of a religious conviction. Do that. Secondly, try to get a medical exemption. Now, this is getting harder and harder to do, and unfortunately, the reason is because many doctors out there are freaking cowards, and they will not write you a medical exemption, even though it is worthy, because they're afraid of losing their jobs. This nonsense has to stop. We've got to get doctors out there that got some cojones. The third thing you can do is get the employer to take the liability. Right now, the vaccine manufacturers have no liability, nor does the doctor who sticks it in your arm, or the nurse, or anybody else in the supply line. But if an employer tries to force this procedure on you, you can try to shift that liability on the employer. This has been done before, and the employers have backed off. I'm not sure it'll work in every case, but it has worked in the past. Fourth thing, organize, and walk out. If you are in a job, especially one with 100 or more employees, start organizing. If you have a union, you can talk to the union, but I found that this is a major problem right now because unfortunately, most unions are following the recommended CDC guidelines straight down the line. And the reason they do that is because they think, and their medical advisors think, that what they're doing by following these ridiculous guidelines is protecting their members. It's not. It's actually putting them at more risk. So you can talk to your union reps first and see if they're on your side or not. If they're not on your side, then you're going to have to strike out on your own, organize together, and walk out. All of you, even the ones that got the jab, clearly they have to see that this is headed in the wrong direction. You got to get everybody to walk out at the same time and stay out until they change their mandate. The next thing you can do is hang on until you get fired. Because if they fire you, eventually you're going to be able to sue the pants off these people and you will win. It might take some time, but it's going to happen. The last resort is to just quit. Some will say, I can't
I don't know,
quit.
HBR.
I
They
got to
might
take
be.
the jab
They've
because
had
I
one
got to
hovering
support
over
my
here now
family.
for a
Well,
while.
guess what? If that jab maims you or kills you, how are you going to support your family? Oh, I have insurance. You better look into that, because a lot of insurance policies clearly say that if you submit yourself to an experimental medical procedure, you get nothing. People, take a stand. Draw your line in the sand right now. Do not comply. All of you here, if you do that, you are true heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. That was awesome. Listen, I want you guys to remember, there are scientists. The vice president of Pfizer, Michael Yeadon, came out and said, do not take this jab. Rob Maloney, Dr. Scientist Maloney, who is an inventor of the mRNA, came out and said, do not take the jab. Dr. Peter McCullough, one of the most researched cardiologists in the country, in the world, came out and said, do not take this jab. So there are people that know more about this jab than most of the doctors that are working in these ERs and these emergency rooms right now. So understand, they are being censored and you're not getting this information. Over 14,000 people have died from this jab. Over 600,000 adverse events have happened from this jab. So we need to wake our friends and family up and know that this is a virus with a 99.7% survival rate. The next person we're going to bring up right now is a constitutional attorney.
Uh-oh,
She's
here we
going to
go.
speak some law to you guys and tell you what our rights are and tell you what's going on. Her name is Belinda Noah. Let's give her a round of applause.
Oh, this should be good, you guys. A constitutional attorney.
Good afternoon.
Right.
Good afternoon.
Here, let me
ladies
get
and
her.
gentlemen. Yes, my name is Belinda Noah, and I am an attorney. And I am committed to doing everything that I can to ensure that the city of Tampa employees throw off the yoke of slavery that is in the guise of an unconstitutional, illegal vaccine mandate. This is unprecedented in the city of Tampa, in the state of Florida, my home state, where my ancestors have lived for thousands of years. We must fight against this because it has no basis in the law. It has no basis in the Constitution. How can you, with a straight face, ask City of Tampa employees to basically show your papers? That's the equivalent. There is no justification for that in law, in medicine, or in real reality.
That's right.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, the justification is that, oh, we want to stop the spread. But even the vaccine manufacturers have stated that it does not stop the transmission.
Exactly.
Therefore, there is no legal justification for making that statement as a pretense to subjugate and basically treat the city of Tampa employees like animals. This is ridiculous. And also, ladies and gentlemen, the governor of the state of Florida, in May, he issued an executive order specifically prohibiting this type of action. So, the city of Tampa is in direct violation of Florida law. The city of Tampa, with respect to the vaccine mandate, is in direct violation of federal law.
It is good to see you
And
as
it
a
is also
ninja.
causing irreparable harm to the people that they purportedly want to serve. However, it is obviously clear that the mayor is not serving the people as the people of Tampa as their public servant. Instead, it appears she is working for the vaccine manufacturers.
Ninja,
Yes,
they took
the
my
rate of
TikTok down
international
too with
settlement.
11,000 people
This
watching
is
it.
unacceptable.
11,000
Now,
people were on and they
if
took
there
it down.
was any credence to that statement that it's to stop the spread, then why individuals who have already had the COVID, they've already had it, they have built up their immunity system, just as the doctors stated, they have built it up, yet there are no exemptions for those people. So that lets you know that this is a trumped-up excuse to undermine the freedom and the rights of the people. Now, there's also a statute, a Florida statute that specifically prohibits this activity. The Florida statute 381.002162 specifically states that this is unlawful. What the city of Tampa is doing to its outstanding, hardworking employees is unconstitutional. It's a violation of federal law. It's a violation of state law. Now, what we have here is an attempt to reintroduce desegregation, ladies and gentlemen. It is an attempt to do so utilizing the so-called vaccinated and unvaccinated terminology. This is not acceptable. We threw off the yokes of slavery over 100 years ago. We are not going to allow it to be reintroduced into our beautiful Tampa. It is unacceptable. Now, with respect to that, we have for years as Black Americans been subjected to medical tyranny, unauthorized, without informed consent, surgery, medical testing, research, etc. Now, it has continued just recently. In 1972, that was when the Tuskegee experiment finally ended, ladies and gentlemen. And with that experiment over where they denied treatment to men that had syphilis, can you imagine? That is such an unconstitutional, immoral, unethical way to treat anyone. But it was done not that long ago by the U.S. Public Health Association. And do you know what it's called now? Does anyone know? The CDC. And ladies and gentlemen, that resulted in over 100 of the 400 men dying. The rest of them suffered irreparable harm. Some went blind. Some became insane. And also, even their spouses, their wives contracted.
Oh, thank you, Ninja.
And some of the children also were contracted the syphilis. So this is the history that we are dealing with, ladies and gentlemen.
Northwest.
Now, that is absolutely unconstitutional. They apologized. They provided compensation to a certain extent, but nothing can replace the lives that were lost.
Thank you, Ninja.
And the lives that were damaged. Now, let's look at the requirement. In order for any purported law to be constitutional, when there is a fundamental issue, there is a fundamental right involved. That is the right to privacy. Now, with that right being involved, there must be a comprehensive, very specific justification for the implementation of a law that implicates that right. Now, that has not been the case because, as I said earlier, there is no basis for the statement that, oh, it's to stop the spread, because in many cases, this is scientific evidence. There's scientific evidence for this. The vaccinated are transmitting the virus as much as, or in some cases, more than the unvaccinated. So any court of law will not allow that type of law to stand. Now, as I said earlier, this not only hurts the basic rights, the liberty, and the freedom of individuals, it has a negative impact with respect to the actual health, because so many people have been injured And that is a battery. That is attempted murder. That is conspiracy to commit murder when you expect to force someone to inject a foreign substance into their body against their will and under the false pretenses that it is to protect public health, when the evidence shows that it does not, because even the manufacturers have stated that it does not. Oh, they've stated that it has waned. It has waned. The efficacy has waned. So it no longer helps prevents the transmission when you take the vaccine. So that should be more, that is more than enough evidence to have them withdraw, repeal any law that impacts the individual because of this reason. Now, some people have tried to hang their hats on the Jacobson versus Massachusetts case. And that's a case back in 1905 when a person was forced to pay a $5 fine, which would be the equivalent to about, I suppose, several $100s in today's money, because he refused to take the smallpox vaccine. However, ladies and gentlemen, that was during the time of eugenics. Eugenics and our liberty rights had not been flushed out to the level that they are now. And the Supreme Court is sympathetic to religious exemptions. The Supreme Court in today's society, today's Supreme Court understands that that type of law is not applicable in today's 21st century society. So those who are expecting to utilize Jacobson versus Massachusetts and Buck versus Bell, which is another unconstitutional decision that was handed down years ago, they are not going to prevail. The Supreme Court will not stand for that. And I can tell you that because there have been laws, different cases that have already gone before the Supreme Court, and they understand what's at stake. They understand that such a law would be a violation of due process, a violation of equal protection, a violation of the Nuremberg Code, a violation of medical ethics, a violation of basic human decency. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we also have to look at the purported PCR tests, the foundation upon which this shabby, immoral, unconstitutional system of vaccine mandates has been built. It has been built on a faulty foundation, ladies and gentlemen, because the PCR test does not test what it purports to do so. Now, Tony Fauci has said as much. Tony Fauci specifically stated that if the cycles are 35 or higher, then it's ineffective. It's of no use. However, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration that monitors and controls the testing, has stated that the cycles could be as high as 40. Now, can you imagine if the cycles are as high as 40, maybe 37? That means Tony Fauci has basically proven our case. He has proven our case. This is documented in several newspapers. It is documented in a podcast, but yet they are using that false PCR testing to break down society, to attempt to force City of Tampa employees and others to take a vaccine against their will. They are attempting to mask our children and just continuing with this takedown of the United States of America, this takedown of Florida, and of course the takedown of the American people. We cannot tolerate it. People from all walks of life, we have to utilize our Constitution. We have to utilize our Constitution to prevent this, because even two of the top FDA officials have resigned. They have resigned because they understand that the so-called Pfizer vaccine that was approved, ladies and gentlemen, in reality, constitutionally, it was not approved. It was not approved because federal law specifically states that you must, once you bring out a new vaccine, you must withdraw the emergency use vaccine. However, that has not happened. They have two vaccines purportedly to solve the same purported issue, the purported health problem, but in reality they are saying, oh, we have this new vaccine, so and it's been proven to be safe and effective, but it is not. It's the same EUA vaccine. So that in itself flies in the face of the law. It flies in the face of what this country was built upon. And that, again, is when the FDA, the two most senior FDA officials agreed to that, because they have resigned and they have specifically stated that they do not approve of the vaccinations of children. Now we are going to do everything in our power to help any City of Tampa employee who feels that they need redress. And it's definitely a global issue with respect to there's no consideration as far as, oh, you are a member of this party. We are a member of the human party, and we must uphold human rights. We must uphold informed consent. We must uphold this republic, because if it falls, then there will be no recourse. There will be the subjugation, the basic enslavement of the human race, because it starts here. It starts slowly. It's almost like a frog in boiling water. You know, you stuck the slow boil, and before you realize it, it is too late, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm here as an attorney, as an officer of the court, as a person who is committed to human rights, as a person who is committed to the rule of law, to assist in any way that I can. So if you are a City of Tampa employee and you would like to file for a temporary emergency injunction, we have the documents at the table there. So please feel free to pick up the documents. Thank you so much. God bless.
Give it up again for constitutional attorney Belinda Noah. And make sure you guys stop by the table and pick that up. So guys, she was right. Everything she was saying about the FDA approval, about the PCR test, about them spinning the cycles and all these false positives that are happening. They are using PCR tests. We are in a case-demic. They're using that to keep us shut down and keep people locked down. So that's just true. The next person we're going to bring out is a podcaster. He is using his podcast to bring people, to teach them how to stand up for their freedom. Welcome, Jeff Dow.
Thank you. My first time in a big crowd, so go easy on me. I wanted to ask initially, how's everyone doing? But I feel like I know the answer. We are mad, right? I see the kids. We're not happy. Who's happy right now with having to be forced what to do? Absolutely. So I'm here as she said, I'm a podcaster. My podcast is, someone said earlier, Digital Soldier. I was like, wow, you almost finished it. Digital Soldier Network. Giving you the tools to join the fight is my tagline. My whole focus is helping people not just talk about these issues, but learn how to get involved in these issues. I want you to be able to take action on these issues. So what I do is I always try to, by the end of the show, I try to teach you something. So today, you guys got a lot of people giving you information on how we can take action. I'm going to give you a little bit more. How many people live in Hillsborough? Good chunk of us. Let me hear if you live in Pinellas. Okay, is there anybody here from Pasco? We got a couple. All right, perfect. I have this thing. I don't know. Trisha has a banner. How many people have Telegram? Couple. Okay, I'm gonna give you a reason. If one reason more than any other to finally download this app, it's for what's going on right here. This little barcode. She's gonna walk around and hand this out to you guys, because this is how we are going to take action in the future. We are going to be acting for petitions, protests. We're going to be recalling. You guys are tired of these people, right? Here's what you need to know. To recall, Some of these people, we need upwards of 40,000 petition signatures in a 30-day time frame. If you have ever helped in politics at all locally, you know that it takes at least 10,000 signatures to get your name on the ballot, and that can take upwards of a year sometimes. Does it sound like we need to mobilize? That's one thing that the Republican Party often doesn't do so well, but we're changing that. We're changing the messaging, we are mobilizing, and we are taking action. One of the ways that we are going to take action, Anthony Sabatini, are you guys familiar with him? Yeah, big, lots of love for Sabatini. He is a state house representative up in Lake County. He is running for U.S. Congress. He is probably, and I will say this with respect for those who just haven't said it yet, to all you other Republican representatives and senators in the state of Florida, here's your one opportunity to change this statement. I've yet to hear from any public official with a Republican title next to their name in regards to fighting for our rights for sovereignty. Anthony Sabatini with House Bill 75 has put something together, and the reason I mentioned the Telegram app, there is a link, there is a document that I put together. I think I finished at like 3 o'clock this morning. Every Republican official that is a senator or a representative in Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, and Pasco County, their phone number to their office, their email, their Twitter, their Facebook, their Instagram if they had it. I want you guys to peaceably, because we're not the crazies, peaceably tell them that you want them and expect them to do what it is that they were hired to do. And that is respect and represent us, and most importantly, the Constitution. If you are a Republican and you are not defending the Constitution, what are you conserving? I mean that. That is the number one thing that a conservative, in my opinion, is supposed to do outside of protecting the people, and that is to uphold our Constitution. So, Anthony Sabatini, in following in step with that, puts his money where his mouth is. He drafted this bill. Here's what I want you guys to do with the links that I gave you. If you're on Telegram, Hills Act. They're giving you the breakdown, the QR code. If not, just look up Hills Act. There's a document I just uploaded that has all this information. Again, be nice, but be direct. You want them to do the right thing so that you can vote for them again, but we're paying attention. We're tracking every single bill. You guys might not know this. We're tracking every single bill for the last 2 years that these people have been in office. And I'm putting a grading system on whether you are a rhino or you are a Republican. And I'm deciding based on your voting record and how much you vote for us. We're paying attention, representatives. We're paying attention, senators. And we're going to make sure that you hear it now and you feel it at the ballot box, whether by us supporting you or us going against you. Anthony Sabatini put this together. This bill, I'm just going to highlight, it's 3 pages. It's also linked in that document because I think Hosea 4:6 says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. That's what my whole podcast is about, teaching. Last year, they got one over on us. Why? Because we didn't know our rights. We didn't know Florida Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 to 27 represented our rights that are on paper. You have a lot more rights than you know about. That's just the ones that hold the government accountable. Those are not the ones that hold you accountable. That said, here's a number of them. He put together an act relating to limiting COVID-19 restrictions, prohibiting the state or any political subdivision from enacting a mask mandate, providing that any such mandate is void and of no effect, prohibiting state and local governments from requiring COVID-19 vaccinations, issuing vaccine passports, or otherwise publishing or sharing COVID vaccination records or similar health information, providing, that one goes nowhere, providing construction, sorry I don't have details, prohibiting businesses from requiring patrons or customers to provide documentation certifying COVID-19 vaccination or any of the other access to go in or not go in their stores, prohibiting businesses from discriminating against patrons or customers on the basis of or the failure to provide information concerning their COVID-19 vaccination. That business has no damn right knowing what it is, whether or not you got a virus or not. There's another one, he references another law, creating it's a law, it's in here, read it, I'm not going to go through it, declaring that certain actions based on vaccination status or having an immunity passport are unlawful, discriminatory practices, providing an effective date. So Anthony Sabatini is fighting for your rights. Here's how you can take action right now. In addition to following the Telegram app, so you know when we do this next, which will be next weekend, we'll be doing another. And I'm going to give you guys a little, you need some backup, right? We need to keep doing this. You guys pay attention to what's going on in France, the Gilets jaunes, the yellow vests. They do this every week. Do you think this 1 week coming out here, that this tyrant in this building, or whichever one she's in, you think this is going to be enough for her? We're going to need to keep bringing people out. We're going to be back here again, either here or another location a week from now. We need to prepare for the week after that. We need to be ready and have staying power. If you guys know who Chris Ann Hall is, she talks about having staying power. We need to be prepared for this fight on a regular basis. And the other action item that you can take, it goes back to that telegram. Your elected officials, regardless of or respect to which county that you live in, their information is right there readily available. Again, be nice, but be direct and tell them you expect them to stand up for your rights because that's why you elected them. Thank you, Fire Department, because you elected these people to do that very thing. So, I don't know who I'm turning this out to. Thank you. My name is Jeff Dow, host of the Digital Soldier Network, giving you the tools to join this fight.
All right, last speaker, and then we're going to play some music, and you all can stay and wave your flags and your signs, or roll out. That's up to you. So I want to introduce a very dear friend of mine. She is another founder of Moms for Freedom. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Look for the pink logo. And we get involved with organizing rallies, protests, keeping up with legislative, tyrannical bills that are coming through legislation. And we work with other freedom groups both locally and statewide. And we will put out statewide action calls when we see a bill coming through that's going to take your medical freedom away or your children's. And so look us up, get involved. And oh, and by the way, we've won how many? We've fought down at least what, 18 bills over the last few years. That's pretty incredible. And it's not just Moms for Freedom. We're not taking the credit for that. It's Florida Freedom Keepers. Health Freedom Florida, We Are Change Orlando, We Are Change Tampa, Community Patriots Pinellas. Each county has a Community Patriots group. So again, get involved. Look these groups up on Facebook and Instagram. Follow them. Come out to the events. Help us with our action calls and emails to your legislators, representatives. This is how we win. So my dear friend Allie, I'm going to introduce her. The last 2 years, she said, I've had enough. And I'm going to run for Hillsborough County School Board. Because she had enough. She's like, you know what? I got to pull my bootstraps up. And let's get in there and get involved. And that's her way of contributing for her children's future and your children's future. So here you go, Allie Marie Legg.
Hello, Tampa Bay. Will you comply with tyranny? No. I can't hear you. Will you comply with tyranny? No. I won't either, and I will fight for you and your children. I have another question for you. Are your bodies government or public property? No. Are your children's bodies government or public property? No. Then we need you to stand up and fight for your children. Now is the time to get involved. My name is Allie, A-L-Y, Marie Legg, L-E-G-G-E, and I am the candidate for Hillsborough County School Board, District 6, countywide. I'm here today because I support medical freedom and personal health freedom choice for all Americans, not just here in Tampa, not just here in Florida, but nationwide. Our bodies are not government property, and we do not co-parent with our government. You see, I'm also an Army veteran. So I know what it means when I raise my right hand and take an oath. I don't think the people that are elected, that are currently sitting in office, understand what that means. Because if they did, they wouldn't be trampling all over your constitutional, inalienable rights. But it is up to us, I hope you heard me, it is up to us, each and every one of you out there, to hold them accountable for their misgivings. They represent us. They took
I
an
do
oath
that
to
all the
uphold
time.
The U.S. Constitution, our Florida Constitution, and our state law. If they are not doing that, they are tyrannical and they are operating outside of the consent of the people. And then that requires all of us to stand up and tell them we will not comply.
Hey, John.
So I am also a
Ain't we
founder
been
of
saying
Moms for Freedom. Okay, Moms for Freedom's pillars are first and foremost our constitutional protected rights. We make sure we educate our community on your constitutional protected rights and what you are able to do
Chester
to hold
County.
your elected officials accountable. We also stand for personal health choice because health is a personal decision. It's made between families and their doctors.
Yes,
Not
it
families,
is.
doctors, and our mayor.
Yes, it
Not
is,
families,
Keebler.
doctors, and your neighbor. Not families, doctors, and your school board. Not families, doctors, and anybody else that works at the CDC or an expert at TGH or anything of that nature. Your personal health choice is your decision and your decision alone. And anybody that asks you a question does not need to know your personal health decisions because that violates medical privacy. If other doctors cannot share my medical privacy without my consent, then anybody else that asks me a question about my personal health does not need to know. Do you all agree with that? I hope so. You all agree? Okay, so the reason why I'm also up here is because, like you said, like Tricia said, I am running for Hillsborough County School Board. I was tired of going and speaking and emailing and calling and being unheard. That is not how our government is supposed to work. We are grassroots, ground up, and in no circumstances do employees tell the employer what they will and will not do. Our government works for us. We pay their salaries.
You guys hear
we put
her,
them
right?
in office, and we can remove them. Okay? So, in 1776, we said no more kings. In 1776, we said no more kings. In 1968, we said no more discrimination. So I have a question for Tampa and their city council and our mayor and any other elected official. Is Tampa not an equal opportunity employer? They should be. Because if not, they are participating in new age Jim Crow laws. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I am a person of color. And I take full offense to this new age Jim Crow laws. We will not be segregated. We will not be discriminated against because we do not comply with tyrannical overreach. So I will say again, in 1776, we the people said no more kings, ever. And in 2022, when you elect me and other constitutional candidates, which I'm gonna let you know something, I am probably one of the only handful of candidates that will be out here in public and tell you that I support medical choice. I support the right for someone to choose what goes in and out of their bodies because force is violence. I know what it's like to be held down, okay? And forced to comply with something that I did not agree with, all right? So that is why I'm standing here and I'm fighting for all of our city employees to not be subjected to force. And our children, because if we do not stand up now and fight for our own bodies, best believe they're coming for your kids. So in 2022, when you go to that voting booth and you elect me and other constitutional candidates that stand for medical choice and medical freedom and our constitutional rights, you are saying no more kings once again. No more kings. We do not co-parent with our government. Our bodies are not public or government property. No more do as I say, not as I do government.
That's your favorite saying, the
It
kings
is
and
time
queens.
we the people take back the reins and get back in that driver's seat. It is time we get out of our comfort zones and get uncomfortable for future generations.
How's that lawyer sounding legit?
Yeah.
It is time to put the people
we're gonna talk to her.
back in office. It is time to fight for freedom instead of just complaining about it. Get off of your off of your couch and stop Facebooking and get out and get involved. Freedom and liberty are not free. It is bought and paid for by the blood, sweat, and tears, by the bravest men and women who sacrificed everything for God and country and those they love that call America home. You see, the flag waves by the breath of those that embody the spirit of America. We will never let the spirit of America die, not on my watch. All of us speaking out against tyranny, we all have your six. If you don't know what that means, it means we've got your back. Everybody that is out here right now, we have your back. Do not falter. I tell you, stand your ground and hold the line, because we are the only thing between freedom and absolute tyranny. My name is Allie Marie Legg. You can go to vote, ALYMARIE.LEGGE.com. You can sign petitions, and you can also donate if you feel so moved. And I appreciate every single one of you, and I implore you to please hold the line and tell everybody you know to fight and stand for America. Thank you.
Hey guys, I just want to say, we have our local media out here. They're trying to cover this event. We have EyesOnTheState. He has a YouTube channel. He's on TikTok. He had over 10,000 people watching this and watching everybody speak. But TikTok took off his video and banned it in the middle of our speakers giving their presentation.
10,000 people were watching.
Over 10,000 people. They're trying to silence us, so please share this wherever you can, to everyone you can. Let them know that we were here, and let them know we're going to be back again, because we're not going to take this. We're going to fight, and we're going to hold the line. And thank you guys so much for coming out here. Thank you so much.
I'm on. No, I'm good.
So let's give it up again for all of our speakers, Allie, and all the doctors that were here, and the constitutional attorney. And thank you guys for coming. Thank you for standing up for freedom. Thank you for standing up for medical freedom, and speaking for these city officials who are trying to mandate the experimental mRNA gene therapy on them and all the employees. So thank you for coming out, and continue to show up and join a group, get involved like Allie said, and get uncomfortable, because that's what we're going to have to do to take back our country. Thank you guys.
You saw they kicked me out of the studio.
Yeah, I saw.
I give them I give them hell, don't I? I don't play around. If they violate the Constitution, I hammer them. I hammer them hard too.
I am so tired of this
You like that?
and fuck your fear.
That's right.
I'm on 8% battery.
Are ya?
Let's go get a jar.
I think I can.
Yeah, you can. Let's roll.
Yup. Wolfie, what's up?
We'd like to buy you one.
Okay.
Yup. All right, you guys, here we are. We are out here now. We've been down here earlier. As you heard him say, I was streaming this on TikTok earlier and they shut that down like unbelievably fast. They said it was misinformation and stuff on there. So what I'll do is I'm going to come back down and I'm going to hard record and stuff here because there's some music and running on and stuff. So I'm going to hard record what else is going on down here and then I'll post that. So I want to thank all you guys for joining us and being here. Make sure you share this and get this word out because they're trying to silence this hardcore. They're trying to push that jab as hard as they can and we can't let them. So you guys, thank you very much. Make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that share, and make sure you hit that bell so you get notified when we go live. We'll be back soon. I appreciate everybody. Thank you.